Hi, guys. My name is Lyann, and as many of you know, I'm married to my husband, Jay. Jay in the back right there. He leads the young adult ministry here at Kalos. And we have two fierce little girls, so Emery and Adeline. If you see them running around with their beanies and like crumbs on their face, it's probably them. Today, what I want to speak about is trusting God beyond our career. And specifically this, how God can use our work to build our career, but more so than that, it's to refine our faith. And, a little bit about my background, like Pradeep had mentioned, I currently serve as the head of people here at Overflow. So if you tithe here, you know. Overflow is the giving platform that Kalos uses today. And for the past decade, my experience has been rooted in people and talent acquisition. So I used to work at companies like Microsoft and Amazon, but also scaling up startups of all sizes as well, too. And my husband always jokes, and he always says that I love work so much. And honestly, he's not wrong. Like, I find so much joy and energy and fulfillment when I get to do work. And, what I've realized is that work isn't just where we spend most of our days. It's also a place where we find a lot of pressure. It's where we can find a sense of identity, where we can experience success, but also where we can experience fear. And recently, God has been challenging me with this. Just a few months ago, I was working at a different company. I was working in defense, like what Pradeepan was talking about. And if you guys are in the industry, you guys know that defense it's very cushiony, and the pay and the benefits. It was such an incredible blessing for my family. Like, honestly, it was like the most I've ever made. I felt like this was something that I was working towards. And at the same time of it being comfortable and feeling safe, this was also where I felt a lot of complacency in my heart. I'm someone that takes a lot of pride in my work ethic, my career growth, my ability to provide. And none of that is bad, but somewhere along the way, I started to realize that I was trusting the security of my paycheck and my status more than really relying on God as my provider. And, I realized that my confidence was slowly starting to shift from Him to me. And in that same season, coincidentally enough, Overflow asked me to step in as their first ever head of people. It wasn't actually like a recruitment process. A door just opened for that to come on. And it was an incredible leadership opportunity because this is where I would formally just like lead an entire department function, but also strategically come in to like elevate the culture of the company. And at the same time, the downside to that was that it was a huge significant pay cut from where I was coming from. I felt the tension immediately. I kept asking myself, like, why would I leave something so stable? Like, why would I do that, especially when I'm the breadwinner for my family? And after a lot of prayer and just conversations with Jay and just a lot of wrestling with God, like, ultimately, I decided to accept the offer because I felt like that's where the Lord was wanting me to be at. But I can't help but think that even then, I do still feel moments where I'm like, did I make the right move? Like, should I have stayed? Like, did I make that right decision? Because something that I am realizing when I'm asking those questions is that when my decisions become rooted only in logic, but not in conviction, that's when I know I'm not walking in faith anymore. Because faith doesn't always mean that everything's clear in that very moment. Sometimes faith means obedience, still, even when you're wrestling with it. And a verse that has anchored with me in these seasons has been Matthew 6:33, which is, but seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. I love that verse because it doesn't say that career, money, stability are bad, but it does remind us that none of these things can become first. Because if we're being honest, we can spend so much of our lives searching first our career, our stability, our, just like comfort, and even searching for the right answer. And, stability is something that I deeply value as a person, but I've been paralyzed by fear at times because I just wanted to know what that right decision was. And that's when God has been teaching me this, is that His will isn't always about giving me that like perfect answer. It's about growing my trust in Him. And that's a pattern I've seen in my life as well, especially in career, is that every major transition in my career came with God asking me to surrender the very thing that I was holding on to tightly. It reminds me of the story, the famous story in the Bible, I think a lot of you may know, which is the story of Abraham and Isaac. You know, Abraham waited decades for his son. Like, Isaac wasn't just his child, but Isaac really represented that promise. And one day, God asked Abraham to surrender the very thing that he waited and he longed and prayed for. From that story, I've learned that sometimes God asks for our surrender, not because it's bad, but something that, whatever that something is bad, but it's because he wants it first. And in different seasons, God has always asked me to loosen my grip on my idols, you know, comfort, stability, control, and to really step into that season of faith. And every time that I feel like I have been able to do that, I do look back and I go, man, like, he was always ahead of me. Like, he was protecting me. He was covering for me. Like, his grace was there. God isn't just concerned with where you work. He's concerned more about your heart. He cares about your career, yes, but he even cares more about your faith and who you're becoming. And over time, this has become so clear to me, is that every time that I've surrendered something to God, my trust in him has grown. It hasn't always felt easier, definitely not. It's definitely hard in the moment, but I have felt stronger in every time that I was able to do that. And in each time of placing that something in his hands, it just turns out better than if I just would have held it onto myself. So whatever season that you're in, this is a reminder that I'm holding on to, and I hope you will too, which is, you know, put him first and trust him with the rest. Thank you.